So what inspired me to run for Congress was my father's passing in October. That was really what put me over the top. Dealing with him, I was his medical proxy, I was his power of attorney. These things are not things that should come up when you're fighting for your life or when someone's caretaking for you and advocating for you with Medicare, with supplements, with insurance companies. It's really difficult. It's a nightmare. And not wanting my children to have to deal with that with me, or their children to have to deal with that with them. Things need to change. So my vision for the community is obviously universal health care for all. When he was ill, it was a difficult time. Now, this all started in 2007. He got a strep infection, which was a very freak thing, made his intestine burst, which made him septic. He really wasn't supposed to survive that. He did. He came through. The one lingering effect that he had was he went into renal failure. So he was on dialysis for many years. Now, again, we're going back to '07 when this started. Fast forward to about, I don't remember the exact years, but fast forward to 12, where he really lived on a good regimen and ate well and tried to keep his kidneys in good enough shape where he didn't need to start dialysis. Unfortunately, as he got older, that moment came, so he had to do dialysis 3 times a week, which was difficult. It's difficult for anyone who needs to do that. And then we got lucky. Before he turned 70, a deceased donor came up. I had offered him the kidney many times. He wouldn't take it from me. There was nothing I could do. Believe me, I fought that battle. He just wouldn't allow it. So luckily, a deceased donor came up. I do recommend to everyone become a donor. You're really saving a lot of lives when you do. But he got COVID, and that was really the beginning of the end for him, where, he was in the hospital 35 days. He did get out and went from there to rehab, which he was in for another month or 2. And even though he came home and he was getting better, he never got back to that level of where he was after he received the kidney. We had a good 3 or 4 years after the transplant, and then getting COVID really signaled the final descent, and the last year was extremely difficult. At one point, he was in a rehab center after a hospital stay, he was not getting better. He was bedridden to the point where he couldn't even feed himself, really. And Medicare and his supplement both told me that they were cutting him off. And if he wanted to stay at the rehab center, he was going to have to go on full pay, full self-pay. When I asked him, I said, what are our options outside of full pay? How can you be cutting him off? How could you want him to go home? And their response was, well, the good news is we're going to send him a visiting nurse 3 days a week, and we'll continue his OT and PT 3 days a week. What are we going to do the other 4 days? And we danced around that question. We sparred that they were giving me nonsense answers. And their response was, and this is an insurance company that he pays money to for coverage, said to me, well, I would recommend that you call the local synagogues and churches, because they have volunteer programs where they come out and help you on the days that we don't. When I heard that was what told me that you got to be kidding me. We have a health insurance company that gets paid. He never missed his payments. He never missed his premiums, telling me. Now, he's not a religious guy, but they want me to go to the churches and synagogues to find volunteers to come help me deal with him, help him feed himself, help him get clean, help him get changed. What kind of system is this? And it's crazy.